Today I'm framing two of my art prints from my collection Y2K Ducks. And while I do that, I just kind of want to share my journey on how I've overcome hating my own work and some of my thoughts on, how to love the process and begin, loving your own artwork because you should. And the reason we do it is because it's fun, and when you start hating your own artwork, it's not fun anymore. So I just kind of want to share how I overcame those feelings, and hopefully it's, kind of helpful. I got these frames for like $2 each at Goodwill recently, and I really love them because they're like borderless frames. And I feel like with these prints, their design already had enough of a border that if I had put them in a frame with one, I think it would have kind of taken away from it. So I really like that it almost creates like a floating artwork piece, almost like you had just taped a poster to the wall, but it kind of lifts it off the surface of the wall a bit, but it doesn't distract you from the artwork. So the prints are perfectly sized. They're 8 by 10, but the frames are just slightly smaller. So I had to cut like half of a quarter-inch off on either side, like just a tiny amount to get them to perfectly fit into the frame. So I just took one of my crafting knives and cut that off, but it's just like one extra step that I wish I didn't have to take. But I mean, these frames were $2, so I guess I can't complain too much. Since I started making these different art collections, I feel like one of the biggest things I've noticed, because I've only created collections of things I really wanted to make. And especially doing the ducks, like I just love them. I found that less and less I was having moments where I was just like, like this part's so ugly, or like, I don't like how it turned out. And although I could probably point out something on each illustration where I was like, Emma, why'd you do that? That could have been better. I love the ducks so much, and the idea and the colors, that the little mistakes don't really matter. Like the whole thing finished together, like I love it. I'm glad I did it. I'm really happy with how it finished, that it doesn't really matter to me, those little things. And I feel like that's kind of one of the biggest things that has changed for me. I feel like what I'm about to say might not be the advice you're kind of hoping for or looking for, maybe in the aspects of learning to love your own artwork. But I feel like a big piece is actually just getting better. And the reason for that is because when you're unsatisfied with your artwork, it's often because it wasn't how you envisioned it, or it doesn't look like your reference photo. When you can't capture exactly what you had planned or what you wanted, you're going to end up disappointed in the end. But once you acquire more of the skills that allow you to be able to create the things that you were wanting to make or that you had envisioned, then I feel like it's a lot easier to feel satisfied with your artwork because you're not let down by the outcome. It's actually a lot closer to what you had planned. And that's not saying that, I can always capture exactly what I was envisioning, but I feel like I hit a lot closer to the mark than I used to be able to do. I feel like this leads into the next point where you might feel like, oh, okay, so once I get good, then I can love my art. And that's not true, and I wasted a lot of time believing that. I wish that I had enjoyed the process a bit more, because when you first begin learning anything really, but especially with art for me, there were so many moments of just like, it was like mind-blowing moments where like, oh, that's how it works. When I learned about perspective lines and like the horizon line and just like color theory and how light bounces and just all these little things that when I was learning them, it was just like mind-blowing moments, and it was exciting and it was so much fun. And I wish I had enjoyed more of the process of just playing with those things that I learned rather than feeling like, okay, I need to like learn all these things and I need to learn them now so I can be good, so I can make one perfect piece, But it's not about one perfect piece. It's about a lot of terrible pieces that have some elements in it where you learned to do some pretty incredible things. Like you painted maybe a terrible painting, but in some of the sections you did a pretty good job observing how the light bounced. And those are things that you shouldn't put yourself down on for a bad painting. You should be able to look at it, hopefully, and say, you know what? Look here. Like, look what I learned here in this painting. And what matters most is that you're learning and not about the perfect paintings that you're producing or the perfect sketches. It's about the process. And I really wish I had just enjoyed that more. I really hope that, you guys can be better than me and enjoy those moments of wonder and learning something new and fun. One of the next things that's really important that I very often have to remind myself is not to compare myself to other artists, because there is always going to be somebody doing something better than you, and you can't do everything. You don't always have the time to, or maybe you don't even have the interest to, but I feel like we often fall into, we're like, man, I wish I could paint landscapes like that. I wish I could draw portraits like that. And while I do have these feelings, when it comes down to it, I don't have the time, and I don't choose to make the time to do these things. So I think it's important to be realistic when you start to feel jealous of some artists. But I also feel like it's important to maybe think of that jealousy as a way to motivate yourself in a direction that you might want to go. Maybe you do want to be a portrait artist. Are you, like, does it really make you envious when you see these beautiful portraits? And maybe like fuel that energy towards driving you to practice and use your skills to observe how they tackled these different pieces of art, rather than looking at their work and being like, man, mine can't even hold a candle to theirs. You could use it more as a way to be like, look, I really appreciate how good this artist is. And, maybe I can learn something from their artwork. So I think that's important too, that I try to remind myself when I start seeing artwork that's so much better than mine, is to, rather than immediately think about how mine is worse, I start to think about how good they are, in the sense of how can I learn from them? How can I learn from their pieces of art? How can I learn from their skills? I feel like that has really helped me just kind of stop immediately thinking poorly in my own work and start immediately thinking in a more constructive mindset that's going to help me improve my skills, and also be able to appreciate other people's artwork for what it is and not instantly start tearing apart my own work by comparing it to theirs. And I feel like the last thing that has really helped too is just kind of being proud of all the tiny steps I've taken over the years, all the time I've put in, and the research, and just the commitment. I feel like when you really commit to something that you care about and you're passionate about, you can really feel proud about yourself when you start to see improvement. And that's not saying that like, oh, look how good I am. I put in so many hours learning, and I'm so much better because of it. It's more like, I'm proud that I took the time to put into something that I really care about. And I'm proud of the fact that I stuck with it even when it was hard, and when I had files full of ugly drawings and paintings that I had done digitally, and I had canvases laying around of artwork that I don't love, but I kept going. And I'm proud of the fact that I'm resilient enough to keep going despite making all these mistakes and keep moving forward towards something that I care about. And I think that's really important to remember, that, persistence is key, and, you just keep going. And maybe you're not learning at the speed of everyone else, but don't compare to that, because you aren't everyone else. You are yourself. And the way you learn and the way you draw and the way you paint is going to be completely unique to you. And no matter how much you study somebody else's artwork or wish you could be like them, when it comes down to it, you can only be yourself. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And that's something that I honestly have to remind myself all the time. And I probably should go back and re-listen to this video like every day because these are things I struggle with a lot, but I now struggle with them a lot less. And I kind of hope that everyone can arrive at this point. But if you're not at this point, there's nothing wrong with that either. Part of the journey is becoming someone that you can look in the mirror or look at the canvas and feel accepting of, and be like, you know what? This artwork is perfectly how I am. This art is perfectly me. This is what I can do, and this is a part of my journey, whether it's good, whether it's bad, if it's ugly, if it's not how you envisioned, if it is how you envisioned. Each step is part of, becoming the artist that you're going to be. And that artist is someone that makes mistakes and doesn't always make a perfect painting and doesn't always hit the mark. I feel like that's something that we don't realize. Every artist faces these same things because we're all human, and part of being human is making mistakes, and we often make a lot of them. That's okay. It's all part of the process. I hope this was a little helpful for you guys. I am definitely feel a little bit like a hypocrite recording this video. I just wanted to kind of share some of the things that have helped me and just kind of share things that I've noticed have changed and what kind of made those changes along the journey. And yeah, thank you for listening to my thoughts. If you guys like these ducks in this video, you can find the link to them below, leading to my Etsy shop, and they are available as digital download art prints. Anyway guys, thanks for the support, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Quack.